We're joined by our buddy, all 7 feet of him, Jesse Kelly, who is the author of the Anti-Communist Manifesto, which is out in paperback this week. I've got my copy here on the shelf. I've got a hardcover because, I'm going to keep it for a long time. Jesse, congrats on all the success of the book. How are the communists feeling these days? It must be a rough few weeks for them.
Yeah, what we're seeing is an attack on the foundation that they've built. That's the only reason Democrats have been able to achieve so much power in this country is they've figured out a way to have the taxpayer fund all their activism. And we're finding all this out now, but that's the truth. Communism is not popular now. It never was popular. It wasn't popular in the Soviet Union. It will never be popular. It's a demonic religion of force that makes people do things they don't want to do. So you have to find other ways. If you're a dirty commie, you lie. You lie and you find ways to force and worm your way into things. So you take over the federal government and have all of us go to work every day to fund tranny surgeries in Guatemala.
I'm just immediately picturing who's given tranny surgeries in Guatemala and thinking that does not sound like a knife I want to go under anytime soon. Jesse, I want to go to the serious discussion here. How did the flu impact your hairline?
Clay, that was hurtful. What you just said was hurtful there because I'll be honest with you. I had a lot of time as I was laying in bed fighting through near death, which of course I did. Most mortal men would not have made it, but I did
Correct.
make it. I came out the other side bigger, stronger, faster, but I did have some time to think about my hair. And I had a moment in my 104 fever delirium where I actually considered, because everyone like you, Clay, is mean to me about it. I had a moment where I considered, do you go, like the Rogaine or something, or do you take one of the supplements? My wife's always talking about, well, you could take this or take that. And I woke up more defiant than I've ever been. I actually feel like this is exactly how God wants me, Clay. I'm sorry you can't accept me for who I am now.
It is true. It is true. God wants me this way. You can't accept me for who I am is actually, I appreciate you coming out of the closet like this because you've actually made the exact same argument that trans people make, when they need surgery. Make sure we clip this, Jesse going full trans.
By the way, speaking of all the trans stuff, since this just came up, was it the dumbest, setting aside all the weird stuff and all the horrible stuff with kids and women's sports and crap like that, was it the dumbest political move in the history of American politics for Democrats to embrace such a thing? I
can't believe it's real.
Yeah, I know. You want to talk about the most narrow approval in the world. If you're a politician, right, you're supposed to try to find the big things most people agree with you on and run on those things. You found like the 0.05% of the population that decided you were going to be their champion and then told American parents that their daughters should have to go play rugby against these freaks. And Democrats are looking around right now stunned. How did we lose so much power? Gee, I don't know.
Jesse, we're speaking of Jesse Kelly, Anti-Communist Manifesto, his book. It comes out in paperback this week. Make sure you get yourself a copy of it. Jesse, the Pentagon might be getting a visit from Doge real soon. Pete Hegseth, our friend, and the Secretary of Defense, has said he welcomes this. He is going to give them everything that they need and is looking forward to finding what's there. When they kick over that rock in terms of the spending, what do you expect? You're a former Marine. What do you think they're going to find?
Buck, I will tell you this. I'm not trying to be melodramatic. I actually had a thought this morning that we all need to keep Elon Musk, Pete Hegseth, the Trump administration, Trump himself, of course. We all need to keep them in our prayers because the truth is we have a really scary combination right now of some very, very powerful people who happen to be very, very evil people are very, very afraid right now of what is taking place inside the Trump administration because they're, like I said, those people, powerful, evil people, are frightened as all the stones get unturned. And I tried to tell people, you brought up the Pentagon. I'm telling people, US aid is just the tip. This is just the tip. The Pentagon, what they're going to find in there. Look, Buck, you're CIA, the things they're going to find, the waste, the fraud, the abuse, the flat out naked corruption. It's going to stagger people because what we've had is this unaccountable system for years and years and years in this country where trillions of taxpayer money gets thrown into that Pentagon black hole. And of course, anytime anyone's ever tried to look into it, they fail every audit. Anytime anyone looks into it, they cover themselves in the red, white, and blue and try to accuse, you hate the military, and these ridiculous claims. But those are claims that get politicians to back off. And so now that we have people who are really going to look into it, just gird your loins, everybody, because it's going to be hard to see. Like this USAID stuff that we're finding out, the training surgeries in Guatemala, stuff like that's hard to see. That's easy. This is the warm up compared to what we're going to find in the Pentagon. It'll be ugly, brother.
Jesse, I think you hit on something that's important that we've hammered here. To a large extent, leave aside politics. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. are about to get, confirmed they were Democrats till 6 minutes ago. We know that there are a lot of people, frankly, out there who have ended up voting for Trump. And I think to a large extent, it's because Democrats have embraced ideas that are just thoroughly nonsensical. You mentioned men being able to win women's championships. How about lining up against the idea of having the most successful business person in any of our lives examine the federal books to try to save all taxpayers' money? Like some of the things that they are lining up in favor of and opposing, regardless of whether you're a political person or not, eliminating fraud and wasteful government spending is like a 95% agreement issue.
Yes.
Men in women's sports not being able to win women's championships is like a 90-10 issue for anybody who covers sports or cares about sports. It's not just that Trump is doing rational, common sense things. It's that it feels like the Democrat Party is just running right off the edge of a cliff and destroying themselves on the rocks below. It's utterly nonsensical.
It is, Clay, and I was thinking about this, and so I have this theory, and you too can shoot it down. Of course, I know you will if you feel like it, but I have this theory that Joe Biden is largely responsible for a lot of what we're seeing now, and this is what I mean. I'm talking about his weakness, his whatever he had. I don't know, the dementia, senile, whatever it was. When you get elected president, like Barack Obama, I consider to be the worst, most evil, soulless president this country's ever had. But even he, when he got elected president, understood that as president, in his own self-interest, he had to keep the most bonkers part of the Democrat coalition at bay. Like Barack Obama is still called the deporter in chief to this day. Even Barack Obama, who hates America, didn't want to bring in 20 million illegals to rape and murder a bunch of American women because in his own self-interest, he knew that that's bad for me. So when the braying lunatics in the Democrat Party were telling him stop deporting people, as the commander in chief, as the president, he had to be the dad and say, okay, pipe down, kids. No, we're deporting people. Don't be nuts. Come on. Joe Biden lacked that strength. We all see the cadaver in chief that he was for 4 years. So for 4 years, Joe Biden sat there with drool running down his chin. And so the government was run by the filthy communist America haters around him with no brakes. What we saw during Joe Biden's presidency was a Democrat presidency with no brakes on it anymore. The president's supposed to be the dad, supposed to be the brakes, and they simply handed the party over to the nutballs, and now they run it all. We're watching the results of Joe Biden not be able to tend the fence and keep the herd in check for 4 years. A Democrat party running wild. Now Jasmine Crockett's the voice of it. I can't get enough.
Jesse, for 20 some odd years now, which coincides with yours and my adult lives. Clay's got a few decades on us, but for 24 years or so, we've been looking at a Democrat Party that has either had, somebody in office as president or a handful of people that we knew were next in line for that Democrat, the Democrat nomination. And were the leaders of the Democrat Party. It's been Clinton, Obama, Biden, believe it or not, or the people around him, right? We've all known this. Right now, Clay just read off who the top Democrat picks are. I understand everyone's like, how could you be thinking about an election? But it's more about who the Democrat who the sort of main figurehead will be now and going forward in the Trump administration. Who is it? It can't be Chuck Schumer kind of just waving his bony fist around and shouting on stage. Or who is it?
I think it's got to be, and I know you're going to scream at me. I think it has to be Gretchen Whitmer, and frankly, I think it's their only option. If Josh Shapiro weren't Jewish, I would say it would be obviously Josh Shapiro, but the Democrats went full Jew hate too. I mean, they couldn't hold back the Hamas lovers in their party either. So, you have to win Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And they have completely siloed themselves into being this coastal elite party where they only speak to the insane LGBTQ mob on Berkeley's campus, and they don't ever speak to just normal Americans in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. You have to have those states to win the presidency now that Florida's blood red, courtesy of Ron DeSantis. So you have to have those states. Well, Josh Shapiro would be the no-brainer, a relatively popular governor in Pennsylvania. He should have been the VP choice of Dome, but of course he was Jewish, and the Democrat base went full ape against Jews, kill all the Jews and all that crazy crap they're shouting. So I think it's Gretchen Whitmer or bust. I think Gavin Newsom has a real problem on his hands with this wildfire stuff, all kinds of bad optics out there. If there's someone else, I'm all ears. I don't know who else it could be but Gretchen Whitmer.
So I don't disagree. I mean, I said if they had been super rational, they would have gone with a Whitmer Shapiro ticket and just gone all in on we have to win the Midwest, and maybe that would have got them dragged over the finish line. But here's my take on this, Jesse. I think you're seeing, I'm sure you paid a little bit of attention to it. Stephen A. Smith, the ESPN commentator, is saying now he might run for president. I think Trump is going to unleash a ton of wealthy dudes, maybe some women as well, who just look at this roster of incompetent politicians and try to throw their hat in the ring too. And so it wouldn't shock me if we got a total outsider Democrat nominee, somebody who's not holding office right now. Crazy town, or do you think that's also possible?
No, honestly, Clay, I think that's probably brilliant. I think that's probably the way they have to go. But at the same time, that guy, let's just pick a name. The Rock always pretends he's going to. He's never going to. He's too rich. But let's just call it The Rock. Yeah. Let's say you're right. The Rock decides he's going to run as Democrat nominee. Yeah, everyone's excited about that as a Democrat for about 5 minutes. And then still he walks in and has to face the exact same problem Joe Biden faced, the exact same problem Kamala Harris faced. What do you do with the deranged lunatics who've taken over your party? Because you have to be strong enough and popular enough to tell them, sit down, shut up. Okay, no, we're not doing the tranny stuff anymore. That's going to stop. No, please, no more Hamas. No, that's got to stop. We're going to be, common sense, appeal to the working man, because that's the only way to hold together a Democrat coalition that can win the presidency. That's what Clinton did. That's what Barack Obama did, to be frank. You have to be able to hold together a broader coalition than they have. Even a rich celebrity, how does he hold that coalition together? I don't know. Maybe he can. I don't know, but they've got a mountain to climb. They'll come back one day. These pendulums swing back and forth, as you two both know. But I really have a hard time seeing how they do it in 2 years, 4 years. I don't know how they do it.
Jesse, why do the folks listening need a paperback copy of the Communist Manifesto?
The Anti-Communist Manifesto, Buck. Actually, you should buy both of them so you can learn your enemy. The Anti-Communist Manifesto is easy to read because I'm a moron and I wrote the book, so everybody, even kids, can read it. It's funny, and it actually tells you what to do. Like, there are action items in the book. It's not just the normal book of, here's all our problems, we're totally screwed. There are things that every single person listening right now can do. It's available at jessekellybook.com. I came up with that website myself.
Well done. Creative. Anti-Communist Manifesto, everybody. Jesse Kelly, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being here, buddy.
See you, boys.
Is there a part of you that hears of egregious spending being uncovered by Doge and wonders how much lower our national debt might be if the money was directed the right way? Lower debt means lower debt payments equals less inflation. Until inflation gets lower, though, our dollars are getting chipped away at month in, month out. So there are ways that you can actually take action now to preserve the real value of your hard-earned savings by investing a portion of your savings in gold. It's been proven time and again. Just look at the historical value of gold and you'll see. Birch Gold Group can help you with this. Their team has all the information to walk you through the steps of investing in gold, particularly if this is your first gold purchase. I just bought more with Birch Gold last week. I trust them. You can too. This is the company that's releasing the an all new study that you need to see. It's just information, no obligation. Get your free copy with Birch Gold Group's new free information kit. Text my name Buck to the number 989898 or go online to birchgold.com/Buck. Text my name Buck to 989898 or go to birchgold.com/BUCK to get your ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era.